We're going to talk a little bit now about the media reaction to Donald Trump's victory last night. There were a couple of fun clips that were making the rounds. So we're going to start first with Jake Tapper over at CNN, who's genuinely like jaw drop stunned when John King tells him that Kamala Harris did not perform better in a single county in the entire United States. Keep in mind, this was at the time that they were looking at the map, but nonetheless, definitely tells us a little bit of the story of what happened last night. Let's take a listen to that.
So you asked, are there any places that the vice president is overperforming Joe Biden in 2020? So we could show you that as well. We just bring that out here. Harris overperforming in 2020.
Holy smokes.
There you go. So let this go away and see if there's anything on the east side there.
Literally nothing?
Literally nothing.
Literally not one county?
One county.
Literally nothing?
That is pretty shocking.
Yeah, no, it is.
No, it
genuinely
legitimately
shocking.
is.
Like,
It
there's
legitimately
not a single locale where you improved.
Yeah, so...
That is pretty stunning.
Yeah, so apparently... there are a few counties now that the ballots have been tallied. That's what the community notes and all those stuff. But I mean, the point stands nonetheless. I mean, one of the things that we talked about in our after action segment was Donald Trump literally improved a position in 48 out of 50 states. Okay, that's freaking crazy. He won the popular vote. He ran up the table in all of the, in not only in all the swing states, but increased his margin in the deepest blue states. And like with all demographics, basically, I believe, whenever you look at the overall exit polls. So all of that is quite shocking, and of course is...
according to the one I saw, she improved with advanced degree women.
I mean, who among... So cannot forget about the PhD.
How can you even improve with those numbers? They're already...
She went from 97% to 98%.
You know, that explains a lot, because those are the ultimate childless cat ladies, as all four of the people here know for who they are. All right. But now,
let's not do any divisive identity politics.
Oh, well, given Trump's victory, I think I'm all in on divisive identity politics. But anyways, in terms of democracy and what that all means and looks like so you could look at a Trump popular vote victory as a victory for so-called small d democracy, because quite literally winning in an election, or you could say that the American people have given up on democracy. That's what Jonathan Capehart had to say over on PBS NewsHour. Let's take a listen.
With a sense of humility, simply because, polls don't vote, people vote. And so in elections, we finally get to hear what the American people have to say. And I've come to this election with an open mind, and I want to know what the American people have to say. What was it, 6 hours ago, I was mystified by what was going on. And now I can't help but think that if this election if it proves out that the millions of people who are watching Fox News, if that ends up being the case, then I can't help but wonder if the American people have given up on democracy, simply because of what he's told us, what he wants to do, simply because of what the Supreme Court decided in terms of immunity. I mean, he has said he wants to go after his political enemies. I am your retribution. So if indeed what Fox is reporting, if that ends up being true and ends up being the case, then this conversation about who we are as a country, I was going to say will pop off in earnest, but I think we will have an answer.
You guys aren't going to like my take, but I actually think that he's kind of correct.
I was going to say the same thing. I was going to say the same thing.
In what way?
Here's the thing. I mean, I do think both on the right and the left, there is some chunk that have an authoritarian instinct. And we've seen that, in terms of the Democratic Party with them being like, yeah, it's fine. You don't have to have a primary. Like, just tell us who to pick. Right? You see that. Yep. You see that with the clamoring for censorship, which, by the way, is very clearly a bipartisan thing. Yep. And, I mean, you also see it in, this guy genuinely tried vociferously to overturn the election. He still has not admitted that he lost. And so it's not zooming out from our particular political time. When you have times of turmoil, chaos, economic uncertainty, change, structural shifts in terms of like the national economy, the global, all of those things, breed among some people the sense of like, I just want someone to come in and fix it.
Yeah.
Trump literally was like, I'll be dictator for a day. And people were like,
Yes.
we want you to do that.
Okay.
To Krystal's point, but here's a significant point in Krystal's column here. This is Will Chamberlain, who's been on the show debating. He said, and he is very connected in Trump circles. He said, quote, there's going to be a lot of talk about Trump needing to, quote, extend the olive branch. All caps, no. If he had lost, he would have been jailed. And for a support of Trump, Elon likely would have been bankrupted and jailed. Those who launched the lawfare must be held accountable. He doesn't need to persecute random Democrats. He does need to ensure that his DOJ investigates Fonnie Willis, Nathan Wade, Alvin Bragg, Letitia James, Jack Smith, and Merrick Garland.
Well, okay.
Merrick Garland, he saved Donald Trump by waiting.
Yeah, he did by delaying. Exactly.
Go ahead, investigate him.
See what you find. This is almost like an academic argument between like capital D democracy and like small d. Like the guy won the election.
Yeah.
Not only did he win the election, he won the popular vote.
Exactly.
So like it's game over. In terms of if that's what the voters want, then that literally is democratic. Now, you can have like so-called like democratic authoritarianism, but even in this case,
like what you have in like Hungary, for example.
But the thing is, they like it. Like I've been to Hungary. There's not an organized opposition to Orban. Like that's what
kind
they
of the
want.
point. That's the point that he's making is that they know, like it's not like they don't know that he has these like authoritarian tendencies,
and they like it,
and they're voting for it.
But I think
that's what he's saying.
But that's
like,
democratic. I mean, that's kind of what I'm saying is like that is...
They're democratically voting for authoritarianism.
They are democratically voting for a strong executive. I mean, by the way, like if you go back and you read, I guess the book's no longer behind me, about Freedom from Fear, when FDR was elected, they actually wanted him to be a genuine dictator. They were like, let's burn the Senate down and get rid of this Supreme Court bullshit, and let's just let the president be a monarch. And most people were totally fine with that. He was a good president, right? I mean, American people wanted that. That's a big question why it comes down to like the academic, like democratic checks and balances institutions versus the, so-called like strong executive. But to say the American people have given up on democracy, I think is just incorrect. What they have given up on, I think here, or I guess in this case, is like elite neoliberal rule, which is the one, thorough thread throughout our entire conversation in the last several hours. And so, like, how they decide to rule with that, how they decide to go with that.
I think there is a genuine rise in, and I don't want to make this a partisan point because I don't think it's actually a partisan, strictly partisan phenomenon, although I do think that there's probably a higher degree of, like, acceptance of authoritarianism on the right. But as I said, I think there is a sense that like, this is too messy. I just need someone to come in and make my life like simple and make the decisions and be the daddy for the country. And like, that is a real phenomenon, and it is part of the Trump phenomenon.
Yeah, that's fair.
What do you think, Ryan?
It's been part of the right for hundreds of years. That's like what the right has been.
Kind of about. Yes. Yeah, that's true. It's like we can't let
restorationists.
We can't let the rabble get out of hand.
Strong executive.
That's not fair. Sometimes the rabble who wanted the right in power.
Anyway, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Just saying. Napoleon III, who was whatever. We'll go down. Well, let's move on. Let's move on.
All right,
before we go way
do
too.
Napoleon I.
Like maybe one more of these because we got the mayor coming up here very quickly. So which one's your favorite?
Between Joy Reid and The View, probably The View. Right?
There's also that Trump clip that I put in there for the mayor.
No, that's for the mayor. Oh, we have time for 2 clips. Okay, let's roll them back to back. Let's get Joy Reid and then let's get The View and let's roll those back to back. Let's start with Joy Reid.
I think it's important to say that, anyone who has experienced or been in the United States for any period of time and experienced this country's history and knows it cannot have believed that it would be easy to elect a woman president, let alone a woman of color. Let's just be clear. And nothing that was true yesterday about how flawlessly this campaign was run is not true now. I mean, this really was an historic, flawlessly run campaign. Queen Latifah never endorses anyone. She came out and endorsed. She had every prominent celebrity voice. She had the Taylor Swiftie to the Swifties. She had the Beehive. Like, you could not have run a better campaign in that short period of time. And I think that's still true.
I'm surprised at the result, but I'm not surprised. As a woman of color, I was so hopeful that a mixed race woman married to a Jewish guy could be elected president of this country. And I think that it had nothing to do with policy. I think this was a referendum of cultural resentment in this country.
Well, I think it...
I thought Queen Latifah would have sealed the deal.
Yeah, that's right.
Flawless campaign.
Right.
It's just, like, it's beyond caricature, the idea that, like, we're going to do everything we can to learn nothing from this experience. And, again, like, of course, blame the voters. And that's not to say, like, I do think that we've never elected a woman. I think it is a challenge. I think there are some biases there that we do have to grapple with as a country. But to put it all on that is just to set yourself up for another defeat, because you never learn the lessons from the defeats that are meted out. It did remind me also of my Piers Morgan appearance. They had Frank Luntz come on for an interstitial. He had some good comments, but he also made this comment about she needed to get Taylor Swift to come out and do concerts with her across the Midwest.
That's exactly what it was.
Oh yeah, that was the key. Reason. That was what she was missing out on. If she didn't have enough celebrity endorsers, that was the problem.
Yeah, that is so funny.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about look, I think this is going to be the big media question, to what extent that they're going to run with this. So I did, for my own entertainment, put Morning Joe on the moment that I woke up. It was 7:30 or so, and it was wild on there. I mean, it was
Really?
Joe was losing it in terms. He had a whole 3-minute long monologue, which you can't even play all of it.
I mean, he should, but he should, because his ideology.
Yeah.
Which is the neoliberal on the Republican side and now on the Democratic side, it has been repudiated.
And you could see he was shook.
So he should be shook.
Yeah, I mean,
because
he was shook.
Much more his ideology than, anyone at this table was really thoroughly rebuked. And there's kind of no way around that. Now, I know their cope is, the wokeism or whatever. But I think they have to.
They're the ones that elevated the wokeism to defend their
so
ideology.
True too. That's exactly right.
When he's like, I'm worried about cancel culture on college campuses, Joe Scarborough. I'm like, bro, who were the people you were elevating in 2017 and throughout? Get out of here, man. What was going on over there. So anyway, the entire thing is ridiculous. But we wanted to give you guys a flavor of the cope that is flying out there.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.